I feel weird this morning. Hello. Hello. Sorry there was no video the other week. I have been unbelievably sick, and I feel really guilty about it. Here I am, heavily dosed on everything over the counter you can get. I have a double ear infection. My throat hurts. I lost my voice. I feel like I've been hit in the head with a mallet repeatedly. You know, Harley Quinn just standing there. And I'm here. Hi. And I hope you guys enjoy this. I have not done a book haul in a very long time. And you have that moment where you realize there is an amazing amount of new books in your life. And let's start this, because I'm actually kind of frightened by the sheer quantity of books that are staring at me. Also, I want to say thank you for your patience with everything, because I know it's been a bit of a ride, and there's a lot going on in the background. So let's talk about books. Mound number 1. I talked about this in another video, but this is The Long Moonlight by Razor Fisk. Great YouTuber that I'm a fan of, but I'm actually surprised how good a writer is. It's a pulp fantasy crime novel noir. And I'm like, how did this happen? A weird amalgamation of genres that you wouldn't think would work, and pleasantly surprised. Only thing I will say is I'm not a great lover of book covers like this. It's just the thing. But this is really good. So, My Friend Dharma. This is a graphic novel written by a former school friend of Jeffrey Dahmer. It's dark, it's brutal. It doesn't cover the murders, but it does cover some of the weird stuff that he did. And kind of this Daria art style I love. But it does kind of cover that weird kind of moments. It's not particularly dark in terms of what you see and how you feel, but there's very obviously something brewing, regardless of the reasons. It's obviously a story about a person who was definitely not on this planet. We'll put it that way. But really glad that I got it. That was an eBay pickup. I got sent this, Original Sin. It's a Marvel novel. It's an adaptation of the graphic novel. And I think I talked about this on TikTok briefly, but there it is. What can I say? I have a few of these now that seem to be building up into my collection, and they're actually really good. I like these adaptations, but they have very good writers on board. So, always good. Conan! So, this is effectively a sequel to the Conan story, but it also includes the original Red Nails by Robert E. Howard. Now, as a Robert E. Howard geek, I can say this here and now. I don't think there is a nice edition that is not ridiculously expensive of his works, which is really tragic. I have some really crappy paperbacks that are basically disintegrating, and I have a few on my Kindle as well. This is really good. Like, you get 2 books in here, obviously, and you have the new book, The Blood and the Serpent, and the classic Robert E. Howard, The Red Nail. And it's interesting how a new writer really captured, although it's a different writing voice, he really captured that voice and tone of Robert E. Howard, but injecting a little bit of himself in here. It's actually very good, both very well written. I've read the Robert E. Howard novel many, many times, and please forgive the fact that my voice is dying on me, so hi. I've read, I've read through this twice. It's actually very good, and I just want to say, this cover is a work of art. Like, I am obsessed with that cover. So, there we go. Another book I talked about in another video, A Hot Dose of Hell. This is one of my favourite horrors, and probably one of the best horrors I've read in a very, very long time. And the writer sent me this, so thank you. Genuinely spooky, genuinely good, well written. What more can I say? Buy it. Now we are breaking into the giant tower that's going to fall on me any second. The green... This is weird in the light. The Green Arrow Angel Tower. Now, I've always wanted these in hardback, and I've never seen them. This is book... I think it's the final volume, And I have the others. I have the first one in hardback. I have the others in paperback. And I saw this in the charity shop. The only thing is, it desperately needed a clean. The cover was coated in thick yellow slime or dunge. I think it had been just left in boxes for years. It's a little bit damaged, but you know what? Wet wipe came up beautifully, and I do love book covers of this era. I do, and I kind of miss this look of fantasy. Full stop. And we have some Vampire the Masquerade novels. I think I mentioned these briefly in another video as well. This is an Amazon reprint. This is the original. I had them all like this, and I regret getting rid of them. The Amazon reprints are not good. They're like, the spines don't line up. The quality is definitely lower, and because the cover is this weird matted thing, it kind of looks the quality versus this is quite noticeable. Although actually this is a better constructed book, the overall physical appearance isn't as good. These are great. Even if you don't play Vampire the Masquerade, I'd recommend reading these if you want some good vampire novels. They're sexy, they're fun, kind of dark, and they tick all the right boxes for vampires. So what more can you say? And this was sent to me as well by the writer, and this was good. Street Siren. Now it takes place in the year that I was born, ironically enough, and the 80s. It's a short novella, and the 80s definitely flows. A young prostitute, they're found murdered, and it goes all the way through, and it's this kind of crime case. So again, I'll put the back there so you guys can pause and read. Really good writing, really good. And on your edge of your seat, it's literally only 126 pages. But you know what? That's all it needs to be. And I was so surprised by this. So that's always good when you get something like that. Here we go. Another fantasy. And this was sent to me by the publisher, and I will say this was a genuinely good, strong read. And kind of wishing it was in hardback, because I have a weakness for this kind of covers. As you can see, that's really pretty. Really good writing, really on the edge of your seat. Everything you need from a fantasy novel done with a slightly more modern twist. And that's not an insult, because modernity can be a good thing or a bad thing, as you can see. Here we go. I adore the All Souls trilogy, so when I saw this in the charity shop, I jumped at it. I'm not the market for these books, but I do have a weakness for vampires. I'm going to be real. So if you know the work, there you go. I picked up a very scrappy paperback of J. Kristoff's The Empire of the Vampire, the Waterstones bonus edition that includes a bonus chapter. This is a very well-read copy, and obviously they enjoyed it when they were reading it, so I'm not gonna, books, especially paperbacks, do disintegrate over time, but it was 50p, and I got it for the bonus chapter, because I wanted to read that, and having the first edition hardback, I don't have the bonus chapter, so for 50 pence, can't really argue. This was sent to me by a writer friend, Young Witch. This is a great little fantasy novel. He's currently working on more of them. I can't wait. He's got a really unique voice, and really kind of that hones in the sense of fantasy, but also trepidation and journey of this character, and I adore cover art. Look how simple that is. Isn't that beautiful? Like, seriously, is that not just a pretty cover? Sometimes simplicity is a good thing. And that's, yeah. James Elroy. I adore this man. He's one of my favorite crime writers. I like his writing style. I like his voice. His most famous work would probably be Black Dahlia or the LA Confidential, the LA Quarter. There's also My Dark Place, which is his kind of autobiographical look at the unaliving of his mother. Dark is the operative word, and I like his writing style, I like his voice, and I've had the great pleasure of meeting him in New York, of all places. So, there you go. Now, these are books I've wanted to get my hands on for a long time, and eBay, it works wonders. Altered Carbon books, and there they all are. The thing that's annoying me is that you have the nice new cover, that doesn't match the rest. But you know what? For a couple of quid on eBay, I'm not arguing. The first book is more cyberpunk, and then it progressively gets more sci-fi and into the more fantastical as it goes on. If you don't know what Altered Carbon is, the first season of the Netflix show was really good, and then the rest just fell apart. It felt like they neutered the show, which is never a good thing to do, and it lost that distinctiveness, I suppose. But look up Altered Carbon if you want kind of something a little different. And Embers of Liberty. Now, we've our mutual follows on the internet, and I thought I would buy his book, and I'm reading another one of his, which my friend has borrowed, which I can't show you, but I'm going to talk about that when it nearer the time anyway. But absolutely fantastic. Very grown-up dystopia is a refreshing genre. I'll put it that way. Grown-up dystopia is refreshing. And I also want to give... Now, I've talked about this book quite in depth. Now, he's got the sequel coming out, and he was very kind enough to send me the sequel, which I'm reading on my Kindle, and I don't want to say anything about it. I'm going to wait for his book to drop and him to do his cover reveal, and then I'm going to talk about it, because it's good. And read the first one. Just read it. Read it. If you want fantasy, read his book. So, as always, I know I've been prattling on, but tell me what you think in the comments below. And I have some more books in a mound, which I know I'm going to have to haul at one point, but that's a very specific reason they're not being hauled yet. So I will talk to you guys later, and thank you for your patience during my time of feeling horrendously sorry for myself. Bye, guys.